Hello, everyone. I'm Laura, and this is Stuff I Find Interesting. This is episode 22, and what I do is I talk about stuff I find interesting, and that's pretty much it. So, getting started right away, I wanted to talk about something that I talked about the last time, and that is I was very, very, very wrong about something, like super duper wrong. So, I would like to report on that. And do you remember this thing? And I was like, oh my God, it's in Kazan. It had a population of like 100,000. Why? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm a silly goose because this is Kazan Cathedral. This is Kazan Cathedral. See, we got Finland, Estonia. And this is Kazan, which is very far away from Finland. So, not the same, not in the same place. St. Petersburg, much bigger place. It makes more sense to have something like this, to have a structure that's this grand, 100%. So I no longer think there's anything weird about it. The only thing I think is interesting about all of this is that it's the most important church in Russia and is named Kazan. So I don't know. Now, remember we were talking about trees and how trees are expressions of complex ideas and the way to group things together and organize thoughts. And this is the tree of liberty with the devil tempting John Bull. So John Bull is kind of like our Uncle Sam in that he's supposed to represent England. And in some of these political, I don't even know what you'd call them. They're amazing. They're not comics. And they're not just drawings. Anyway, we have opposition. Nice apple, Johnny. Nice apple. So he's trying to rights of man, profligacy. What does that mean? Treason, Whig Club, slavery, revolution, plunder, corrupt society, ambition, disappointment, envy. So this is a rotten tree. And they're saying, hey, nice apple. And it's a snake. And I'm assuming this guy's face is probably representative of someone specific. And then if we look in the tree in the back, we have happiness, freedom, justice, security. Initially, I thought that said scurvy. That would obviously not be correct. So I thought that was a cool thing. This is a stone chariot. If you need to cart your gods around, this is what you use, a stone chariot. This is a more modern stone chariot, but stone chariots go back, way back. Like, let's look at, let's look, oh, is that one? Ooh, interesting. Let's look at this one. Look at how big this is. That's a person right there. So let's enlarge this. Oh, thanks. Let's enlarge this, and it doesn't enlarge. That's fantastic. But you can see how it emulates the stone structures, the carved churches that exist in India, and it's meant to honor the gods. Now, this is fun. This is kind of what this whole episode is about, in a way. Like, I don't really have a theme, but I do try to follow some sort of process, if you will. I found this. This is like some sort of stupa thing. So a stupa is a structure that's important in certain religions, particularly in the religions that we might have called Tartary in the past. Stupa, stupa, stupa. But I can't help but notice they have these little coils, right? They've got these little coils. This one looks more modern, but the base looks old. It's probably aged. That's a candlestick. That is not a power device. Let's pull up this one and see what we get. Model of a stupa. Here's a picture. More stupa. Architecture of Cairo. Now there's a fun thing. Something on fire? Hmm. We will have to come back to that because that looks interesting. I'll get this one of these days, people. You watch. Before you know it, Oprah's going to be calling me. You know what I said to my boss the other day? I said, I have 416 followers on YouTube, so you better watch how you talk to me. No, I didn't say that. I said, have a good day. No, she's a great boss. Here's that Cairo thing. As an aside, we're going to save that one too. That's wild. Okay, so more weird looking power devices. Let's go to the ones that look like buildings. This is a building that looks like it could be a power device, right? It's got these little thingies. There's some complicated stuff up top. This is from the Yunnan province in China. Photographed by FC Rock. We're going to come back to that one too. And here we can see some more structures. The Tianfeng Pagoda, which is not necessarily meant to be a stupa. It's not the same thing, but it has the same shape. And one could argue this is a very easy shape to make. You can make it very tall. You can make it very sort of imposing without having to add a lot of material. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so then I came across these prints. So these prints are probably from the 1700s. We got our boy Kircher again. And we can see that these are like, what is this? This has like these complicated kind of numbers here. This one is fireworks. This is not some sort of weird power thing. Where did it go? But look at these things. What? I mean, I guess they're supposed to be... Why do they have to be so fancy? I don't understand. Look at this thing. It looks like some kind of nitrous oxide thing, right? Come and get your nitrous oxide. Okay. Moving on. We'll let that load. I want to show you something. And more. More of these weird shaped things. What's their significance? What do they mean? There has to be more to it. There has to be. Even if it's not a power thing. There's more to it. This is a cool picture I found. I have no idea if it's real. Feel free to research it. I kind of doubt it. But it looks like a fat orca. Here's more power objects. Unfortunately, and very sadly, the rest of the links are gone. So, but I can go back later and I can read the text and I can see if there's something. Oh, wait, this didn't come up before. How exciting. Power devices. More power devices. Just like, look, and these are like those dodecahedrons, those Roman ones with the different size holes. Right? It's like the same thing. We have more. Another dodecahedron thing. This is wild. I guess I didn't scroll enough. I guess there is some stuff here to be found. This is what happened after these exhibitions. What do you think? Where did the shown technologies go and what role did they play? Something to think about. It'll be in the links. No idea what this is, but this came from a guy named Alfred Isaac Middleton, who discovered a remote city. Here's a drawing of the remote city in the Amazon rainforest. And within the city were objects like this, and like this, and this. Okay, now we're getting silly, right? And this. Doesn't look like a ship at all. I'm sure that's totally, totally exactly what it is. It starts to get fantastical, but at the very beginning, is that picture real? I don't know. Here's some photographs from Georgia. Georgia, the country, not Georgia, the state in the United States. There's a fun Reddit called Georgia or Georgia, and you have to guess if it's Georgia or Georgia. But Georgia, the country, or Georgia, the state. And sometimes it's really hard to tell, I gotta tell you. These are just some really amazing photos from Georgia. And you know, the more I'm going through this, the more I think that if there was a Tartaria, it came from further west. Not way out in the steppes, not way out in Mongolia, far reaches of Tibet. It was in places like Tbilisi and possibly Ukraine. I don't think it was that far east. I think it was further west. Just my opinion, though. I'll start to back it up. And not necessarily that I believe in Tartaria. And I did this because it means different things to different people. But there's stuff missing. There's stuff missing. There's just a whole lot of narrative that's just not there. Where did it go? What's the real story? Who is in charge of making sure that people didn't know the real story? These are the questions that I ask myself. This is I'm going to have to look it up because I don't think I can pronounce it. Prosthenium, which is known as a stage. If we enlarge it, we can see how crazy this is. He has multiple points of perspective, but it works. I guess these are supposed to be clouds. We have a fountain. Oh, we got some people walking over here. That looks like he could be the king or something. We have Vedurta del Prosceno nella Festa Teatral. So it's like a theater stage. But here's the actual name, Proscenium for Angelica Vincitrice di Alcina. This is something cool. This was discovered in 2015. I don't know how I missed it, but there's over 50 earthworks that have been discovered in Kazakhstan. And just like most earthworks that are very old, we don't know why they exist or what their purpose was. But unlike the Nazca lines, from what I've read, they seem to be more like berms, kind of like protective things, and not like symbols or something that has some sort of deep religious meaning. It was more practical, in other words. This is the scientific backup to the 8,000-year-old thing, because that's 8,000. Like, that's really old. So I had to look it up. Something is awry in Scythia, ancient defensive earthworks in Kazakhstan. Here is an editorial, someone talking about these particular glyphs and what their thoughts are, and whether they were precursors to the Mandasar culture that flourished in the region. Why did people build them? And this person says maybe mortal terror is a reason. They were trying to protect themselves. I mean, who knows, right? Now I want to talk about stuff we don't know. Now, there was an unknown imperial Roman city uncovered at the foot of the Pyrenees Mountains. You're looking at the Pyrenees Mountains, and there was a Roman city found in there. There's so much still to be found. So much. And in that vein, what I'd like to do is talk about outer space. Outer space. Do I want to talk about outer space? No, I do not want to talk about outer space. I want to talk about... What do I want to talk about? Oh, geez. I guess we're going to find out, huh? Okay, we're going to go to the Bank of England first. Have you guys seen the Bank of England and how big it was? This is the Bank of England, the original. Just huge, 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 huge. Looks like we've got courtyards, big rooms, little rooms, fancy rooms, halls, probably living quarters. I'm sure somebody lived there, even if it was like a security guy, right? If I could go back in time and run around a building, I think that would definitely be on the top of my list. Very, very beautiful. This guy did a lot of interesting works that you can look at. There's stuff included there below. Now, this is a history of banknote printing at the Bank of America, and I include this because it's an interesting read, and it talks about how bank printing has changed. It used to be sort of these hand-cut pieces of paper that said, I promise to pay. This was in the 1600s, and when it was paid, there was like a piece that was clipped off or something. And then they were like, we're going to make more of these. And so they decided to make more of these, and they contracted out the printing of these banknotes at a different location. But the demand for banknotes continued to rise. By 1805, there were 27 printing presses being operated over 50 men at the bank's building in Threadneedle Street. Some of the men there got ill because of the cramped working conditions. So then, in 1808, printing works was moved into a new extension of the building designed by the architect Sir John Sloane. So the building had been added on to. That picture, the cutaway picture, I think that's in entire with all of the extensions. So then the bank is like, we got to do our own printing. So they set up their own printing room, and that's where the guys worked, and they were much less cramped. This is the coolest picture of the whole thing. This is the original printing of the banknotes. So we can see kind of the setup that's going on there. In 1917, the bank moved its printing works out of Threadneedle Street. It ran out of room. The new site was the former St. Luke's Hospital for Lunatics in Old Street, which the bank had purchased the year before. The hospital was designed in the 1780s by George Dance and had an impressive 150-meter frontage. Another very large building. And I'll let you read the rest. And this goes into it a little bit more. This has some pictures of the demolition and this is the original. This is the view of the stone walls, southern portion looking. I'm not sure what that says. This is a general view of the front courtyard from roof of the Royal Exchange. Look at that thing up there. This is a statue, it looks like. That must be the statue that goes on the top of the dome. That must be what that word means, but I'm not familiar with it. Oh no, it's the ones that go around the cupola there. More pictures of the building, rebuilding, adding on. Just amazing stuff. So incredible, right? Gets me so excited. So part of the bank still stands. Part of it has been demolished. Part of it's no longer there. But this particular part, a tunnel, has been put through the building. And it seems as though it's a natural tunnel and it's been there the whole time, when in actuality it used to be the interior of the bank, but it's been carved out, and it's known as the Tivoli Corner. And you can see here's without the Tivoli Corner. The walkway runs behind the former false store, so when you go through the walkway, you are in fact walking inside the old bank. If you look up, You can then see carved into the roof a message. The bank made this way through Tivoli Corner for the citizens of London AD 1936. It certainly saved people squeezing around the narrow footpath on the outside, although the modification wouldn't have been needed if Sohn had stuck to his original flat design. That's pretty funny. Now, what do we know about outer space? Let's see. New research shows that something strange is going on in the Butterfly Nebula. What's going on strange? It's a weird shape. Okay, we don't know anything about the Butterfly Nebula, really. Weird dust ring orbits the sun alongside Mercury, and we don't know why. There shouldn't be dust there. It should burn up. Why is it there? We don't know. Dark energy is causing our universe to expand, but we still don't know why. We haven't even measured dark energy. We haven't even observed it yet. Just it's where it should be. We're hurtling into a new region of space. What now? What's out there? We don't know. How did Saturn get its rings? Scientists don't agree. Okay, so my point being that, like, there's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot to be excited about in the world still. Major university searches for signs of extraterrestrials. This is just a couple of days ago. A team of scientists at UCLA is looking for a very specific type of signal that can't be generated by any source in the known universe, and they'd like you to help them find it. You can read this and see how you can participate in the search for aliens. Maybe you'll be the one. No formal training or scientific background. If you're able to distinguish visual patterns, a few minutes tutorial on the website is all you need to evaluate some of the tens of thousands of images in the site's database. I think this program has actually been around for a while. I think I, at some point on a different computer, was doing this. I'm not sure. I'll have to check it out. Conspiracy time. We're going to talk about Bank of England conspiracy. So are there conspiracies with the Bank of England? When there's something that has that much power for that long of a time period over that many people, there's going to be a conspiracy. So this guy talks about that the Bank of England is thought to be a New World Order conspiracy thing, and that the Rothschilds own it, and that they're enslaving man, and it's the final assault on the planet, represents the last steps to be put in order before the New World Order. Blah blah blah. I think I said that, and it really kind of goes on. But this guy kind of debunks it and says why certain things are not true. And he goes through them, conspiracy by conspiracy, pertinent to the Rothschild, Bank of America, Illuminati, Jew thing, it's just a mess. But he breaks it down. But here's the thing. When I was reading this, I very much felt as though someone asked him to do it. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you know this, but there are think tanks out there that are operating right now. And they get together and they come up with ways to deny people money, switch things around so they can get more money, do stuff so they can keep more money, or power or whatever. And they come up with all of these things to keep people kind of restricted or sort of in a weird place. And it's for societal benefit, but it's not. It's not. It's terrible. It's terrible. I knew someone who worked for a think tank in New York City, and he was working back in 2019 on what would happen if a major event took place that kind of changed the world. And it didn't talk about pandemic, but it's very interesting to me. I'm not sure who it was funded by. I have a suspicion, but I'm not going to say it because it's just a suspicion and it's like way too inflammatory. Now we're going to go super far out there. Super, super, super far out there. The power structure of the New World Order. So this is what the previous article is sort of debunking. So this has the Vatican, the Jesuits, the Chatsifrats. I don't know who that is. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta. Do you know how big Malta? It's small. It's the NWO power structure pyramid. The Pope falls under the Black Pope, who's more powerful. The Bank of England and the Rothschilds are not at the top of the pyramid, but rather the items as noted below. So they're in there, but they're attached to some other thing. Talks about the Black Pope, the Jesuit soldiers, the Khazarian Mafia. Here's the thing, though. Khazaria is like Black Sea, Kazan, Tartary, like it's in that area. So that's kind of interesting. Talks about city-states, finance, religion, military. There's death camps. There's coffins that are being produced so that we can all be buried. The Knights of Malta are carrying out banking scams. Talks about the Bilderberg Group, poisoning of people through food, water, and vaccines. I do think that stuff is happening, though. I do think we are being poisoned in all kinds of ways. There have been like 3 major derailments in as many days with toxic chemicals. The poor people of East Palestine, Ohio, that city is ruined for a very long time. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, it dissipates in the air, it breaks down, blah, blah, blah. You still have the residue. You still have people that have breathed it in. You still have pets that are now dead because of this thing, because of the railroads' greed. We're not, no union, we're not going to pay our people fairly. We're just going to keep reaping in the profits. We're not going to fix that track. We're just going to kind of leave it alone, get some more profits. It's gross. Conspiracy to retain Venezuelan gold by the Bank of England exposed. So when there was all that shakeup in Venezuela and stuff going on, the Bank of England was hanging on to the gold, and I guess it kind of sort of kept it. It didn't want to give it back. So this talks about that. The secretive Bank of England controlling the world's money supply. With the enactment of the privately owned bank, the Bank of England provided the model for the financial enslavement of governments and their citizens. Well before the conflict for establishing a national bank in America or the eventual surrender to the money chargers with the betrayal in instituting the Federal Reserve, the history of the Bank of America needs to be studied. And there's a bunch of stuff and links and other links. So you can read that and see what you think about the conspiracies that are around the Bank of England. Are there conspiracies? What have they done? What are they not doing? Is Bank of England like Bank of America? Can you just go there and open an account? I could go to Bank of America right now and I could open an account. If I went to Bank of England and I was a UK citizen, could I just open an account? Or is Bank of England more like an institution that's separate? I don't know the answer to that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music and we are going to look at some old technology. There's some pictures in here that are, I don't know, kind of interesting. great day, guys.